All right, if we can call the meeting of the Laws, Rules, and Ordinances Committee. We'll get started. Mr. Gross?
Councilman Mr. Elder, thank you for your time. It's really Eric and I taking a few moments to talk to you some changes we would like to make to our zoning code, specifically to address what is called solid waste transfer stations. That is not something that's addressed in our code and probably should be addressed in our code. The issue here is it's a gray area, and we have fielded some information about solid waste transfer station. Here's what a transfer station is. It's a big building, everything's done inside, nothing's kept outside. Haulers come in, they put the material on the floor, and the material gets separated, half of it separated by recyclable and trash. Recyclables get sent to a recycling center, and then trash gets sent to a landfill. And so the material is not in the building any more than 24 hours. It is a way to increase recyclable materials and cut down on trash. We know that there are companies in the area, contracts coming up, and there are some things we're anticipating happening in this arena. And honestly, I don't think we thought we were prepared for it as a city. And so we wanted to be prepared, and Erica will get into the details, but ideally, we want to confine those type of operations to an I-2. You know, an industrial 1, which is light industry, I-2, a heavier industry, and because it doesn't speak to it, it kind of leaves our code up for interpretation of where these transfer stations could go. We have some other oversight that we have taken legislation from other communities that have adopted these type of amendments to their zoning code, and I'll let Erica get into those details.
So basically, we will be amending 3 chapters of the code. I sent you an email, and the chapters that we're amending are Chapter 1127, industrial uses. So that, which means we'll be adding transfer facility as a conditional use, meaning they'd have to go to the Board of Appeals to get the final approval. The second chapter is 1129, which is the use-specific regulations, and this is adding the solid waste transfer station as a new category. So this is where all the rules, regulations, and requirements are located in the book. And then the last chapter is 1179, which is the use categories, and this is just adding the definition to the book. So basically, that's all of the 3 chapters that I sent you by the email. Those need amended to add this new use.
What's the intent of doing all this? What's the function?
So I think it's a gray area with our code. It doesn't speak to it, and so I think we want to define it a little better, because there could be the thought that, hey, because it doesn't speak to it, I could put it in maybe a B2 or C1 type district, and we may not have as much oversight as we would hope for in this. And so not only does it confine them to an I2 zoned district, kind of that heavy industrial type district, we take it a step further and request a conditional use permit. So you need to submit your plans above and beyond just being qualified for an I2, and we then lay out some codes in our plans as far as fencing, screening, storage, setback requirements, and so I think that's really the motivation. I think we could have some pushback if, or could be challenged. I'm not saying we will, but and so I think this is one of those type of amendments that probably you can't account for every code or every zoning requirement, and so you try to, as you hear of things and you anticipate things that could happen, you then try to amend your code and be prepared for it, so you can have a little bit better oversight of it.
Okay, thank you.
And those were sent to you.
Right.
So you have a copy of those. And everything in red is what's being proposed. So,
Any other questions from anybody else? Anyone in the audience have a question?
there's one other amendment.
Okay.
Okay, so Chapter 1131, which is the solar systems. This is a request to allow solar permit applications to be approved through the engineering and zoning department. Typically, they're approved through the planning commission, but since we feel that we can do them administratively, since we approve most building permits anyways, so we're asking to change the code to allow the engineering and zoning department to approve the solar permit applications versus the planning commission. Originally, when the code was revised back in 2020, we weren't as popular, but now we're getting applications almost every month, 2 and 3 at a time. And if they don't meet the code, we have them revised anyways. So we feel they don't need to go to the planning commission. So we talked to administration and they're okay with that.
Okay. Mr. Sleep, Mr. Weigel, are you okay with that change?
Makes sense. I mean, most of them are on the roof anyway, right?
Yes. And there's regulations for them and
Right.
aesthetically
Right.
and things like that. So
Right.
if they don't meet the code, then we deny it, they revise it, and move forward.
You treat the solar panels kind of like you do what the language is for satellite dishes, like they have to be in the back of the house or they have to be
Yes.
behind, so it'd be
Yes.
similar like that.
Similar,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
You have to meet setbacks and things
Right,
like that.
right. Okay. So, yeah,
Thank you.
make the
Appreciate
changes,
it.
yeah. Anything else for the order? No. We'll adjourn. Laws, rules, and ordinances. Thank you.
We'll start the council meeting in 5 minutes. Please rise for a moment of silent prayer in the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Weigel.
Here.
Reese.
Here.
Sleep.
Here.
Frazier.
Here.
Reese. Addie.
Here.
Elder.
Here.
Somebody want to make a motion to excuse Christine?
I'll make a motion to excuse Christine Weiss.
I second.
Okay, John Elder makes the motion to excuse Christine Weiss. Danny Addy seconds. Roll call.
Reese.
Yes.
Sleep.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Addie.
Yes.
Elder.
Yes.
Weigel.
Yes.
Council has a copy of the minutes from the last meeting. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Yeah. I figured that out. Okay. What's typo? We also have a copy of tonight's agenda. Are there any additions to the agenda? No. Okay, so we'll start the readings then.
Third reading of the ordinance adopting the recommendation of the planning commission to zone the area accepted for annexation by ordinance number 2025-4235 containing 1.968 acres of land, more or less as R3 multiple family residential district.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Chris Leibold moves to adopt. Thank you, John Elder seconds. Any questions or comments about this? Anybody in the audience? Roll call.
Sleek.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Addie.
Yes.
Elder.
Yes.
Weigel.
Yes.
Yes. Approved. Okay, next.
Third reading of the ordinance authorizing the safety service director to amend the position classification plan and employee compensation plan for non-union employees to include the director of human resources and declaring an emergency.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Jim Sleek moves to adopt. Seth Frazier seconds. Any further comments or questions about this?
Very long overdue.
Absolutely.
Okay, roll call.
Frazier.
Yes.
Addie.
Yes.
Elder.
Yes.
Weigel.
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Sleek.
Yes.
Approved. Next.
Second reading of ordinance adopting the recommendation of the planning commission to rezone in-lots partial number 34-50-00-4088-00 in the city of Fremont from I-2 general industrial to B2 general commercial.
Let's go through readings. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Where's that at?
That's the one on Wood Street.
And Wood Street.
Toward the fairgrounds.
Gotcha.
So that constitutes the second reading of that. Next.
Second reading of an ordinance adopting the recommendations of the planning commission to rezone in-lots parcels number 34-60-00-0082-02 in the city of Fremont from R1 Single Family Residential to R3 Multifamily Residential.
And that constitutes the second reading of that ordinance. Next.
Second reading of an ordinance authorizing the safety service director to amend the position classification plan to change the legal secretary position to administrative legal assistant and declaring an emergency.
Did we speak on this on the first reading?
We did.
Okay. That constitutes the second reading of that ordinance. Next.
First reading of a resolution authorizing the mayor to file an application for submission to the Ohio Department of Development for Program Year 2025 Community Development Block Grant, CDBG program, and declaring an emergency.
Madam President?
Yes, sir.
This is the Community Development Block Grant that we apply for every other year. It's used for various projects around the city. This ordinance authorizes us to apply and see what monies we can collect. From there, we can distribute the funds out. Right.
I would ask council to suspend the forum.
Resolution to suspend the rule for.
I second it.
Yes.
Kevin Sleek moves to suspend Rule 4, Angie Reese second. Any questions on the suspension of Rule 4?
And the reason for the request is because of the timing of the agreement.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam President.
Roll call?
Addie?
Yes.
Elder?
Yes.
Weigel?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
Sleek?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Second.
John Elder moves to adopt. Chris Weigel seconds. Any further questions? Okay, roll call?
Addie?
Yes.
Elder?
Yes.
Weigel?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
Sleek?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
First reading of a resolution authorizing the mayor to file an application for submission. Oh, got that one. First reading of a resolution adopting the federally approved Sandusky County Hazard Mitigation Plan and declaring an emergency.
Madam President, I had sent all council an email, I hope you guys can read it, to kind of explain what this actually is. And this is it's a county-wide program is what it is, and it's mandated by the federal government that the county has this in place for all first responders. I'm talking EMA, EMS, the hospital, our chief and fire chief have countless hours into this. Finally got to a place where the plan was accepted. So now we would like to get it adopted in our area here so that we can apply for further federal government funding, like the grants. Grants and stuff sometimes hinge off of us having this plan. And I know there's some stuff that we need to kind of go for, so I would like to suspend Rule 4 if possible.
Can you, in simple terms, say what that involves or what it means?
As far as
The hazard
what the plan
mitigation
is,
plan.
here's the best way I can describe it. Picture a big book. If anything happens today, a tornado, flood, fire, blizzard, there's a plan in place for it that somebody could go, like then you could take the book and say, okay, this is what we need to do.
Gotcha. I'll make a motion to suspend rule 4.
I'll second.
John Elder makes a motion to suspend Rule 4. Seth Frazier seconds. Any further questions on the suspension of Rule 4? Roll call?
Elder?
Yes.
Weigel?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
Sleek?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Addie?
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Chris Weigel moves to adopt. Angie Reese seconds. Any questions or comments on this? Roll call?
Weigel?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
Sleek?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Addie?
Yes.
Elder?
Yes.
Approved. Okay, next.
First reading of an ordinance amending appropriations within General Fund 101, Street Maintenance Fund 222, and Water Operating Fund 510, and declaring an emergency.
Madam President, I believe Mr. Grawl sent a letter out outlining all of the adjustments.
I don't want to speak for him, but I believe he was also asking for one to be suspended.
I second it.
Chris Lidwell makes a motion to suspend Rule 4. Jim Sleek seconds. Any questions on the suspension of Rule 4? Roll call.
Reese,
Yes.
Sleek,
Yes.
Frazier,
Yes.
Addie,
Yes.
Elder.
Yes.
Heigl.
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Kenny Addie moves to adopt. Seth Frazier seconds. Any further questions? Roll call.
Sleek,
Yes.
Frazier,
Yes.
Addie,
Yes.
Elder.
Yes.
Heigl.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, now you want to read?
Yes. Right. The next one is, we have to do the reading first and then read.
I thought we did.
Oh. Yes.
I missed.
Well, you haven't missed it.
Oh, no, I mean, I missed it. Even when I was typing my thing on. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. First reading of the resolution approval of the Sandusky County Budget Commission's alternative method for apportionment of undivided local government funds to be called Local Government Fund Alternative Method.
Madam President,
Yes.
if I could read a little bit, tell you the story. All right. According to the Ohio Department of Taxation, the local government fund, which is what this ordinance is dealing with, dates back to January 1st, 1935, which was the birth of the state sales tax. This fund has undergone many changes in the ensuing decades, but the basic elements remain. A designation portion of state revenues is deposited into the local government fund. A statutory formula is used to allocate revenue monthly to the undivided local government funds of each of Ohio's 88 counties, and county budget commissions determine the distribution of the fund monies to local subdivisions. Basically, the state gives us money, and it's dispersed amongst the county's entities. All right? There's a statutory method for distributing local government funds, or the county budget commissions can adopt an alternative method for distributing such funds. In Sandusky County, the Budget Commission has utilized an alternative method of distributing LGF funds for years. Mr. Grawl could not determine when the Budget Commission started using this current alternative method. Last month, the Budget Commission distributed a suggested, updated alternative method of distributing such funds, which is included in the resolution, along with allocation amounts from 2025 for comparison. County can see this suggested updated alternative method for distributing funds results in the city's share of funds going from approximately 20% to approximately 12%. In other words, this alternative suggestion will reduce the city's share to approximately $172,230. For the alternative method of distributing funds to be updated, the ORC section 5747.53B states in part that the alternative method of apportionment shall have first been approved by all the following governmental units: the Board of County Commissioners, the legislative authority of the city with the greatest population, which is Fremont, and a majority of boards of township trustees and legislative authorities of other municipal corporations, i.e. cities and villages. As of today, the county commissioners have not passed a resolution approving the suggested updated alternative method. Due to the significant loss of revenue to the city's general fund, which will result if the suggested updated alternative method of distributing local government funds is approved, our city auditor would recommend council vote no on this resolution. Anything else?
Madam President,
Yes, sir.
because that letter was from City Auditor Grawl, I
Correct.
believe. Correct.
Correct.
I do respect the city auditor's letter, and I do appreciate him taking the time to provide all of that information to city council and my administration. However, I have not had the opportunity to have any lengthy conversations. In fact, I haven't had any conversations with our county commissioners And I am not sure what direction they plan on taking, as they also would have to make a decision on how they would vote to distribute those funds. With that being said, I think that as a city, we would owe our due diligence to any of the other township trustees who would want to come to a council meeting, and whether we agree with their views, well, at least hear their views. With that being said, I think that I would ask council not to suspend Rule 4 tonight. I'm not sure if the auditor requested that or not. It's not often, if he did request it, I disagree with him. I'm not saying he suggested he did, but I would ask council not to suspend Rule 4. That way, this can have at least another public meeting. I'm not sure, I was trying to find out today to find out whether or not this was even on the county commissioner's agenda or not. Because essentially what happens is, to me, it's the chicken or the egg. If the city votes on this, then that puts the county commissioners in a situation if we would vote, is the auditor asking to vote no? Is that correct? If we would vote no, the county commissioners wouldn't then have to make a decision, because if we vote no, we're not all in agreement that it would only take one of the two to vote no. So I would be curious to hear what their stance is, and also I was told today that the township trustees would be reaching out to me, or were going to reach out to me. Whether they are or not, I don't know, but I think that council should wait for at least one reading. I do believe there's a deadline on this, Councilman Otter. I believe that's sometime in July. I don't know if any other council member has that date. I don't have that date. With that being said, I do believe that council is going to be in a position to have that before at the next meeting to vote on it. With that being said, I don't know if all council members are going to be in attendance at the next meeting to obviously have enough to suspend Rule 4. So, but my recommendation would be to wait and vote on this at least at the second public. That's all.
So I have a public notice. Notice is hereby given that the council of the city of Fremont will hold a public hearing meeting at the municipal building, 323 South Front Street, on Wednesday, June 18th at 6:45 p.m. The purpose of this hearing is to discuss amending the zoning ordinance to add the use category solid waste transfer facility to Chapter 1127.08. Industrial uses, Chapter 1129, use-specific regulations, and Chapter 117903. Use categories, and to amend Chapter 1131.17, solar energy systems of the zoning ordinance. Documentation may be examined in the office of the engineer and zoning in the municipal building from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. If you have any questions, please call the engineer and zoning office at 334-8963.
It's on Wednesday, Friday.
Okay. Does anybody have committee reports tonight?
I got a report.
Okay.
Fremont Rec Center, the calendars went home from school for the last day of school. Full events are on the Facebook page. Calendar available for download at fremontrec.org. All free, no registration. Summer camps are active. The pool is opening June 9th. Facebook Rio just posted within hours and rates. So grab your memberships and enjoy the time at the pool. We have a full-time recreational programmer job available. It's posted. And that is all I have for now.
Okay, thank you. Jim, do you have anything?
Nothing at this time.
Okay, Angie?
Other than the police department doing their job very good. They've had a lot of busy calls this week, I know, because I hear the sirens. Fire department's doing well also. And the Tree and Beautification Commission went out and helped at the rec center plant some flowers with the children that are 5 to 12. They have this program going on this summer.
I saw that.
And so we were out there helping them, showing them how to plant the flowers and everything. I think they really enjoyed that. I know we did. The dirt's awfully hard out there though. So anyhow, that's what we've been doing, the beautification.
Okay. Chris Sligo?
Nothing, Madam President. Thank you.
Any Adi?
Just would like to thank the gardens up. The cemetery is completed at the end of Wayne Street, the old Whittlesey Street Cemetery, oldest one in town that I know of. And I'd like to thank Councilwoman Ms. Reeds for her great help on her architectural pizzazz on figuring out where things should go. But more importantly, we have Universal Farms, who donated the mulch, but the most important thing is we'd like to thank the Clyde Future Farmers of America, Clyde FFA. They've been there for the last, I don't know, Angie, how many years we've been doing it? 5, 6?
Maybe they weren't there the first year, but I think they've been there ever since.
Yeah, and they do a great bang-up job. And we thank them very much for coming over and doing it. They do it very quickly. They know what they're doing. They're going to be good future farmers. So that's all I have. Thank you very much, Madam President.
John Elder?
I have nothing tonight.
Okay. I'm going to move on to department heads. Ken Cross?
You notice some construction happening, some road closures, Dickinson Street in particular. That's being redone, expected delays and closures on the length of Dickinson, probably throughout the month of June into early July, so while that gets done. There'll be some small closures at State and Stone, where they're redoing the gas station out, the Friendship's no-go. If you notice on that section of Stone, there's a huge dip in the road, we had to avoid, some of their pavement failed there. We are going to try to get that repaired at the same time that they have those closures done to kind of ease everyone on the traffic flow, so we don't have to close down twice. Other than that, it's summertime. I know our police are out doing their jobs very well. A lot of things happening, but we do need to be aware that the children are out during daytime hours. We're not really used to seeing them, so we want to be vigilant when we're driving. And I want to remind everybody, please do not block the sidewalk with your vehicle. That is a ticketable offense, and I have instructed the chief that we will write citations for that. So if your vehicle is blocking the sidewalk, you're probably going to get a ticket. That's all I have.
Okay. Bob Gross?
Yes, Madam President, I'm going to come up here, just promise I'll try not to take too long, just to update council on a few things. One, most of you were at the, don't laugh, I really will try to keep it short. Most of you, I think all of you were at the Fremont visioning sessions that we had at the Jewel Ballroom a couple weeks ago with the Fluid Design Collective. A lot of great feedback, a lot of great ideas, a lot of great conversations being had, and one thing that just stood out to me is, and I think we've talked about it for years, but it feels like we might be actually in a position to start doing something about it, is really how do we utilize the river more or better, and a lot of great ideas came up in regards to that, and so I'm excited to see where that plan evolves over the 90 days. I think that's kind of where we're zeroed in, and is trying to get that visioning plan done maybe by the end of August, and so I want to thank you for that and kind of keep giving you updates when we have these opportunities. You know, if you remember, this section of a visioning plan for State Street is tied to the grant we got to do that section of State Street. And so this is a great exercise. I think internally we've talked about doing it again, you know, and maybe I think we specifically talked about these visioning sessions for other sections of State Street, specifically East State Street. Orchard Park improvement, that we've had some public meetings and some committee meetings. Thomas Porter Architect has listened to the feedback and is going to start shaping a plan. And the plan calls for options, you know, options for shelter houses, options for bathrooms, or options for playground equipment or lighting with an A, B, or maybe even C option. And you just, you know, when you get a lot of hundreds of people's feedback, you can get all kinds of ideas and just got to shape them and narrow them down. But Tuesday, July 29th, we scheduled that, and I think I sent everybody an email. At 6 o'clock, Tuesday, July 29th, we're going to be at Orchard Park with Thomas Porter Architect and his renderings, and try to have them up on tripods and just allow just the ideas that the architect has shaped up that based on the feedback that it heard. So if you know of any, you don't have to live in the neighborhood, you don't have to live in Fremont. If you visit Birch Park, you come give us your opinion about it. It truly is, I feel like inside the administration, we're just open to the public feedback. This is one of those things where like we want to make this a win for as many people as possible. And so we feel like we can do that with as much feedback as possible we can get. You may have seen the Kiwanis Play Park sign that went up. That was a long time coming. What you may not see is, if you get a chance, on the back of that sign is the list of donors, businesses, individuals that gave. And so Kiwanis didn't really want their names to be the focus, but they wanted to be recognized. And so it kind of adds another playful element as you approach the park and you see this big colorful sign there. And so the Parks Department's been great to pour concrete, and Kiwanis has bought, you may have seen over the last 30 days, a couple extra benches go up because we were short on seating and signage. And so that is, I just drove by there Tuesday night, and I bet there's probably 75 kids down there playing. So it really is a blessing to this community and actively used. We talk about development, and there's been a couple of exciting projects announced. And we all have seen the Fremont Federal Credit Union project announced. And I think that's a great project. It's a $13 million build, relocating 70 jobs to the east side with anticipated growth of maybe another 25 or 30 jobs, and takes a site in much need of revitalization and gives us that. But it got me thinking about the east side and some of the projects we know are happening. And so I just mentioned one, the Fremont Federal Credit Union. And so 70 jobs, potentially up to 100 jobs being located to the east side. You got the county EMS headquarters, about 13 to 15 jobs there, with anticipated growth in those jobs of maybe another 5 to 10. And so just those two projects alone, in the next 24 months, you're going to see 100 jobs on the east side. Now you start to think about housing, you start to think about Sunset Meadows and Meadow Creek. And Tom said at the last meeting, they're anticipating building 15 houses a year. So the next 24 months, you'll see 30 houses with an average of 3 people per house. That's 90 people. I know you have on the agenda the Mulberry Street rezoning. I think we kind of have some basic parameters, just duplicating what's right next door, which is 5 triplexes or 15 units with an average of maybe 2 people per unit. So there's 30 people there. And so when you start to add up the people of jobs, 100 people from jobs, and maybe another 100 people living on the east side, all of a sudden you see an increase in the next 24 months of 200 people actively being in and out of the east side, needing some places to eat, needing to fill their gas tank. And I believe those are great projects for the east side. I think those are great projects to continue to draw business and revitalize the east side. I think our strategy has been those retail businesses that people really enjoy, they follow people. And so it's been exciting that most of our houses in the last 5 years have been built on the east side, because that creates more activity on the east side, and retail businesses follow activity. And so I believe that the projects that we know about and our projects we don't know about, I think as that comes to fruition, I think that is a good shot in the arm, and I think we're going to see more good things to come to the east side. But I don't think we can point to any time in the last several years where you can look at a window of time and see an influx of so many people in one side of town, and I think that's going to really lead to good things for Fremont. But that's my economic development update. Thank you, Council.
Thanks, Paul. Thank you. Chief Wetzinger?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. The first thing that I would like to do is acknowledge that on May 18th we have Trash Event in the city of Fremont. I would like to thank Mayor Sanchez and Safety Service Director Frost, who were there on the front lines with all the first responders. I wouldn't be able to list the more than 20 agencies that all came to the city that night. but our fire first responders and our police first responders relationships proved through, and we had a lot of help that night. I could just have a moment of silence for those families that lost a member that night. Thank you. The Fremont Police Department will be hiring very soon. Watch our output on social media. I think right around June 10th, the test for the application period will open with it coming to a culmination sometime in August. That is the testing, the open application period, the panel interviews, everything. So for the next 2 to 3 months, we'll have hopefully a few new Fremont police officers. Some exciting news is the first of 4 of our brand new police cruisers is built and ready for inspection. So we're going to take a field trip to Cyrus and see and make sure all of the switches and tools and equipment that we have in there are, within reach from all the officers, not just the tall ones. We'll also get a delivery of 3 or 4 police cruisers over the next 2 to 3 weeks. So some exciting things happening. And last but not least, I'll thank Ms. Frost again for helping me on a project outfit. It's not a Crown Victoria. It's a Mercury Marauder. Has a parade car with some very unique markings to kind of brag it up for the city of Fremont. It's actually a car in our fleet that's been in our fleet for a while. Thanks, Ms. Frost.
You're welcome, Chief. See you tomorrow.
Yes, the citywide garage sale is June 20th, 21, and 22. So if anyone would like to get on the list, please contact the Engineering and Zoning Office. We'll be distributing that list on the 18th after noon. So.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Sanchez?
First and foremost, I want to wish all of our high school students in the area with Coach Graw and Coach Elder best of luck at state this weekend in Columbus. I know that Fremont Ross sent 11 athletes, which I believe is the most.
Yes.
Coach Elder's nearly 3-decade tenure as a coach. Also, the last several weekends, we kicked off I think it was last weekend, we kicked off the amphitheater schedule. So there's over 40 events scheduled. I had the opportunity to recognize top-notch cheer for their success and their program that they had. What an amazing group of people that started a gym and now are making a difference nationally from around the country. And Mrs. Martin's daughter is the cheerleading coach at Ross, and to watch not taking away from anyone before, but to watch the growth of our Fremont Ross High School cheerleading program this last 2 years or so, with partnering and getting these young athletes involved, is they're building more than just cheerleaders. They're building young women and some young men in the program. And it's just really cool to see. We have folks from Michigan here this past weekend. The concert, I attended, I welcomed everyone to both events. And it was really interesting. About 50 of the crowd was from Fremont, from out of town. So people are coming to Fremont. It seemed to be more from out of town than actually in our community attending the concert series. And the rest was back downtown. It was fun. It was a fun night to just walk around. Councilman Frazier was there. It was just nice to walk around and see everyone enjoying our event. So really, really cool. And then also, the most important thing that I want to say is going through that night of that unfortunate accident. There's not anything I can say tonight that would give the chief, the fire chief, and all of our first responders, along with our other community partners. I can't put into words when I watched those men and women go through that night and just perform under the highest level of pressure, in my opinion, that in a very, very tough situation. It definitely took a toll on me. I will tell you that. It took a toll on me. I've never experienced anything like that as a former officer or even in this position. It's not anything that any person ever wants to experience or see. However, unfortunately, you have to prepare for events like that. And our city of 16,700 people, the community was amazing, but our first responders were absolutely incredible. So I just want to say thank you, Chief, and to all of those who are not here today. And I do plan on doing something more ceremonial to recognize people. The problem with that is, and I say this sincerely, there's so many people there that we're trying to help. It's kind of like the right thing to do could be the wrong thing to do. And I don't know, and I'm still struggling, which is why I haven't done anything yet, on how to properly recognize not only our first responders, but, I mean, there were community people. I don't want to relive it again, but as I think about it, there were citizens that I know of. I don't know their names, I know some of their names. This family had anywhere from 15 to 20 people here. There were citizens taking off their shirts, guys, to give to these family who was soaked, and just holding these people while they were crying. And it was just the most dramatic thing I've ever seen. And I don't want to be viewed as a bad mayor for not publicly recognizing the one guy who did save the baby, because that was very, very, it was just, I can't even put in words, but we did have lunch together with that gentleman immediately, the chief, Mr. Frost. We brought the detective in who was there that night, who identified that guy, and just to sit at the lunch table and to watch the detective, who was just a man, not a detective at that time, sitting at that table. I mean, if you wanted to watch 4 or 5 grown men cry in a lunchroom, it was just so sad. But the baby is doing well. The last update that I had is the child is recovering. And that was from the chief, and that was within the last week, I think. So, I don't know. So, if I haven't, I don't know what direction to go. So, that's where I'm at on that. Thank you, Chief, for your kind words.
Thank you. Okay. It's been, we got mail in our mailboxes upstairs, and Angie Reese was kind enough to bring it down to all the council members. I don't know when it got dropped off, but nobody's had a chance to thoroughly read it, and it all pertains to the Mulberry Street zoning issue. So I know there's probably people in the audience that want to speak, and I will have to enforce a 3-minute rule tonight. And also, if you don't have anything new, I don't want to be mean or rude, but I don't want you to repeat what was said at the last hearing. If you have something new to report or something new to talk about, then please step up to the podium and state your name and address. And you'll get 3 minutes.
My name is Dennis Hasselbach. I live at 820 Mulberry Street, and I'm here this evening to represent the taxpayers for responsible development on Mulberry Street. And I'd like to apologize up front. My head's all stuffed up, and I should have been able to get under 3 minutes, but I don't know if I can do that. But I do have all pertinent new information to pass on. To start with, I would like to clear up an apparent misunderstanding. The Mulberry Street Taxpayers for Responsible Development are not opposed to development or progress in Fremont. It's just that we feel it should be done in accordance with Section 112102 and regulations listed in Chapter 1120 1159 of the zoning code book, and also the advice given in the text of the comprehensive plan of the city of Fremont. The substance of this information is in the information that was already supplied to the council. And regarding the application, that is regarding the comment on the application for this zoning change, that this request should be help meet the lack of housing in Fremont, I would refer you to page 6 of the economic development plan that Mr. Gross referred to at the last hearing. And on this page, you will find a chart that shows a lot of information. But on the line that refers to renter occupied housing, you will see that Fremont had more apartments by percentage than any other subdivision in the county. And since then, more apartments have been built in Fremont. Also, due to the tax abatement ordinance that was passed a few years ago, a record number of aging housing that Mr. Gross referred to at the last hearing are being renovated to be flipped for resale or rentals. And last but not least, but also in the economic development plan on page 14 and 15 are listed the top locations for housing development in the city. Note that Mulberry Street is not on that list because it is a dead-end street with limited access. It's blocks away from a well-maintained collector or arterial street. It also has no storm drainage, which I tried to tell before that is a very important thing. I have pictures that I could show you of water standing all over that area because there's no drainage. And the water main now only has one source, unlike every other water line in the city of Fremont, which is either looped or has multiple sources. At this point, I ask council member, as stated at the beginning of this talk, to look at the information you have on section 112102 and chapter 20, 1159 of the zoning book, and the advice given in the comprehensive plan for changing zoning. And I appreciate and thank you for listening to me tonight. And if there's any questions, as stated on that information that was given to you, feel free to call me. And if anything's not clear, just give me a call and I'd be glad to talk to you about it.
I do have one question for you, Mr. Hasselbach.
Yes, sir.
You included on attachment 3 a list that says property owners for Mulberry Street. Is that an organization, or does that mean they are all for not allowing the R3? What is this list?
It's a group, and it's not it's all the people of Mulberry Street.
It's not that they're for it or against it, right?
Pardon?
And these people are on the list, they're not for it or against it, they're just people that live in that neighborhood, right?
Yes.
Because I noticed Mr. Lejeune's name was on that, and we knew from the last meeting he was definitely for the R3. That's why I was just curious.
Mr.
Is that on the application, Danny, that you're looking at? Those are the names that were mailed the application was mailed to.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, that isn't something we,
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you're welcome.
There's no letter line to the mayor.
Pardon me?
Did you get these?
Did you receive a letter?
Did not.
No, we did not.
Okay.
I don't need a letter because it's not my decision.
I
Thank
just,
you.
I just thought that you should know that you put the cart before the horse.
Pardon me? Well, I guess I don't know what's commented about me, but what I will say is, this is not my project, this is not the mayor's project. This is a developer that is going through the process, no different than what the Burkett family went through today. I wish I had the ability to go convince everyone to build apartments everywhere, because if I did, we wouldn't have a housing crisis. But I guess with that being said, I would also like to publicly thank the Burketts for further investment in the city, as it's not easy to get developers to invest in the city. The other thing I'd like to say is that we do have a real estate agent here today, and I didn't know he was going to be here, but I have also received numerous calls in support of the project. People that may not always be coming to city council, and I believe, I don't want to speak for the realtors, but I believe most of our realtors understand the need for housing. And we, when I say we, myself and Mr. Gross and Chief Wenzinger and Mr. Frost are going to be doing a presentation to our local realtor organization that Mr. Amirati has organized to educate our realtors on other opportunities in the city and giving them a crash course of what we've been talking about at council, a lot of things Mr. Gross talked about. And I don't want to speak for Mr. Amirati, but he may co-sign on what I'm saying if you want to. I don't know if you want to speak or not.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I can, I'll just say I do agree with you, and we try to come up, okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. So I'll say, I'll be brief.
I'm receiving a lot of calls from the board of this board, and I've encouraged people to come to city council, because this is your decision, this is not my decision. Go ahead,
Thank
sorry.
you. Yes, Dave Almirante, I'm actually a resident of the east side, and also I'm a real estate broker with Russell here in downtown. And I did want to thank the mayor, and we definitely do need housing. I mean, that's just the way it is. We need more people places for people to live affordable, and we really have been advocating for that. And one of the things we're doing on the 11th is, getting a group of realtors together to meet with the mayor and Bob Gross, and just kind of update on things that we can do, so we know what's going on, because we know a lot of people, and I like to get the story straight. People are always, we want a grocery store on the east side. We want, you just don't build it and they will come. I mean, you have to have the population, and we understand that there's a lot of housing issues, and definitely, I'm excited to hear some of the stuff that Bob talked about, homes being built, and there's properties in town that need to be redeveloped, and I'm glad that's happening. I'm glad that the Mulberry Street project is hopefully going forward, because that's again, we need stuff like that. We do need more apartments, and we do need more single-family homes. So anyhow, that's it. I just want to say thanks to the mayor and thanks to you guys for understanding that. And if there's any questions, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Madam President, I just want to respond to two things. A comment was made, there's more apartments in Fremont than any other entity in the county, or also the county seat, which is also the largest public entity, and I think geographically you can look across this nation, and it's just typical more apartments sit inside larger metropolises than residential homes. The other response is, also in that plan wasn't the site where Sunset Meadows now sits as a potential site for residential development. So just because it's not in the book or the plan doesn't mean a site can't be created for a project.
Yeah. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak?
Well, I got one question.
Okay.
And I'm going to direct you to the police chief, because people asked me Why was there a C-17 Loadmaster kind of buzzing the school area and such last night?
It might be part of the Sound of Freedom with our local area military all training. I know there's Red Horse Squadron like northwest to us, and that's the direction it's heading in. It was very low. Other than that, I saw it. It was pretty sweet.
It was.
And it was huge.
At first I thought, oh my God, are they going to try to land on that? You know, they might have had troubles, or they're going to crash, or they're going to land on that.
It didn't look like any trouble to me. It just looked like a big, bold airplane.
Wow. Is that, am I correct, C-17?
I have no idea what
That's what somebody
classification
said
it was.
they identified it as.
Safety Service Director Frost might have a better guess than I.
Didn't see it.
Top secret.
Sounded
Could I ask you if you want to?
I don't have anything.
Okay.
I'm
sorry. I don't know how that went.
Oh, come on, do something.
They didn't call me.
Thank you, guys.
I'm one of those, I didn't really have what he said, that was worth.
Bob only took 4 minutes tonight.
Wow.
Motion to adjourn.
Yes. Another makes a motion to adjourn.
Fraser,
Yes.
Addie.
Yes.
Elder.
Yes.
Sidewalk.
Yes.
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 Lee.